21 days of yoga. Thank you so much for joining me and making it to the mat. All right, so we're gonna make our way straight into tabletop, having our fingers spread out, wrist under our shoulders, knees hip width apart. And we're just gonna begin in tabletop and just waking up our spine in cat and cow as we begin to power up for today's sequence intention of power. So we're going to breathe in through the nose as we're lifting our chest, tilting our tailbone up, opening up our hearts in this cow pose. And then the reverse, tilting our tailbone down, concaving our heart in cat pose. Once again, lifting up, opening our chest in cow. And then really concaving, really trying to get my heart closed off, caving, curving my shoulders, and cat pose. Just waking up our spine. And then we're just gonna wake up wake up our wrists by doing some circles. Right, make sure our fingers are spread out. And then maybe go in the reverse. Okay. Maybe have them point towards you. Inwardly, just doing some light circles here. Okay. And then maybe have my palms up, the top of my hands on the mat, and just doing some circles. And then doing some squeeze, making a fist, and then releasing, and then making a fist again. Alright, so really light, shaking all that out. Just pressing down to really stretch out this bottom half of my hand. And then back into tabletop, right? Here in tabletop, I'm going to just hover by tucking my toes and lifting my knees off, really engaging my core, bringing things to the spine and joining this for 3, 2, and 1, back down. Really powering up my core, powering up those abs. Again, 3, 2, and 1, back down. And then last one that little longer for 3. Out to the mouth. 2, and 1. And this time I'm going to shift my tailbone up and back into making my first downward dog of the day. Maybe trying to bring my heels down, pedal it out, bend, all that good stuff. Right. And then I'm just gonna go back down to tabletops. I'm gonna do some more asanas in this pose, right? Position. So now I'm going to lift up this right leg, really kick it behind me. And then lift up this left arm to lift up and balance and hold this, right? Really engaging my core, pulling on both sides of the front and back for 3, 2, and 1. Back down. And now doing the same on the other side. Kicking back that left foot, lifting up the right arm, and really pushing and keeping that balance for 3, 2, and 1, and so maybe just taking off my yoga socks, nothing to help. Alright, and I'm gonna do this one more time. So I'm kicking back that foot, right foot, lifting up my left arm, and maybe just bringing the right knee to nose, and then having my elbow to touch it. So not nose, sorry. Knee to elbow for 3, 2, and 1. And then lower back down. And do the same thing on the other side, kicking out that left foot, lifting up that left arm, and bring knee to elbow. 3, 2, and 1. And then back down. And then once again tucking my toes in and lifting up and back into downward dog. Pedaling that out. Alright, so now I'm going to look forward and walk my feet to my hands in this forward fold. Ooh, really waking up my hamstring. Just really pedaling that there. And just doing some repeated poses as you send energy to our body, sending power, sending heat. So here in this forward fold, placing my hands right underneath my knee and my shins and lifting up into a half lift, flat back. And lower back down. And then lifting your head up and above your head to extended mountain pose. Sometimes I just like to lift up on my toes to really feel that extent. But continue to ground myself, making sure my toes and my heels are down. My pelvis is neutralized. Everything is stacked above it. In this pose, I'm just going to slowly lower into chair pose. So really bringing my tailbone back as if I'm sitting down. Making sure my knee doesn't go too over my toes. And I'm sitting, keeping my back engaged. Trying not to tilt my tailbone up, but really tilting it down so that my back is straight and really aligned in this chair pose. And just holding it here for 3, 2, and 1. And then just forward fold down, hands on the mat or wherever is comfortable for you, and just walk that out. Alright, I'm gonna do it one more time. Placing my hands right on my shins, lifting up into half lift. Extending the front of my torso and my neck and the crown of my head, as well as the back of my torso. Place my hands back down, and then just really circle up into extended mountain pose. Breathing into the nose, out the mouth. And then here, just begin to slowly sit, keeping my thighs engaged, really squeezing them if a block is in between, shifting my butt back, tilting my tailbone down. Breathing in this for 3, 2, and 1. This time, placing my hands together at heart center. I'm going to do a revolve chair twist. So I'm going to use my right elbow to bring it to my left knee, keeping both knees bent, keeping my hips still neutralized as I'm twisting in this chair pose. I'm holding this for 3. Area. 2 and 1. Going back to center. And then now left elbow to right knee. Twisting here for 3, 2, and 1 back to center. And then forward fold here. Really just shaking, walking that out. Opposite elbows to opposite hands in ragdoll. Nodding yes. No. I'm placing my hands down on the mat, stepping back into plank pose, and really just holding this pose. Right shoulders over wrist. I like to have my fingers wide to really alleviate some of the wrist pain. And maybe just begin to shift on your toes, forward and back. Really trying to stretch out that hamstring. And I kind of feel it stretching out my wrist as well. And keeping my core engaged. Alright, then I'm going to shift forward and lower down to my belly, untuck my toes, and then lifting up and back. Lower back down, placing one cheek to the left. Tucking the toes and lifting my tailbone up and back and pedaling that back out. Now I'm going to get into some standing pose and lifting up my right leg and stepping it through, right, so that that right knee is bent. And I'm going to turn this back foot 45 degrees as I lift up into Warrior Two. Right, so my knees bent, my back and front leg is engaged. I'm stacking my hips and my ribs over it, standing strong in this asana. Just breathe here. Feeling powerful. Right, and then shift forward and bring this right arm down so that you can use it as a rest. As you bring this left arm up and over in side angle. But you want to make sure that this right arm is not just resting on here, right? You want your core to be active. So maybe even lift it up to see if you can still hold it like a side plank without having this arm down for 3, 2, and 1. And then just cartwheel back into warrior 2. Maybe just be aware of what's coming up as you hold this asana. Feeling powerful, feeling strong, sturdy. And then shift forward again and lifting this right arm up and over into reverse or peaceful warrior. And hopefully you still feel strong and powerful even in peaceful warrior. And now I'm going to go back to warrior pose. And now I'm going to cartwheel my hands back down. Right, but I'm still in this warrior, front leg this way, back leg this way. And this time I'm going to use my left hand, place it down on the mat, and open up the right arm to the right side. And reverse side angle. Really getting that spinal twist. I really feel that. Holding it for 3, 2, and 1. Pressing it back down. And then going now into runner's lunge here. So we're still on this right leg. And now we're going to lift up into high lunge. Really powering with that back leg, keeping that front leg engaged. Hips forward for 3, 2, 1. Bringing my hands back down, stepping back into my downward dog. Really pedaling that out. Ooh. Feel warm in here. So hot in here. So lifting up my left leg and stepping it through, right? Tilting that back foot 45 degrees, and then cartwheeling up into warrior 2 on my left side. Continue to have your core engaged, hips open, knee bent, back leg engaged as well. Holding this for 3, 2, and 1. Tilting forward, bringing this left arm down, lifting this right up and over, and mirroring side angle that we're still in kind of like a side plank. Maybe lifting up that right arm, left arm for 3, 2, and 1. And then going right back into warrior 2. Tilting forward, flipping this left arm up and over. And now I'm in peaceful warrior. Placing my hand either by my side or even on my back too, whichever is comfortable for you. And then back into warrior. Cartwheeling down, keeping this right arm down, lifting up this left as I open up into twisted or revolved side angle for 3, 2, and 1. And then back down, going into runner's lunge as I change and twist on that back heel, or ball I should say. Right now into high lunge, lifting up, powering off, and holding this for 3, 2, and 1. Cartwheel back down, stepping back into downward dog and really pedaling that out. Right now we're a bit of weight here. Let's maybe just down, up, look forward and maybe jump, slide, walk your feet to your hands. So maybe pressing up. And just pedal that out. You placing your hands on your shins and really bringing your chest to thigh as you deepen here. Hands underneath knees and shins, halfway lift. Hands back down into plank pose. And in this plank pose, we're actually going to do some side planks. I'm going to bring my right arm a little bit down so that it's underneath my shoulders, and then I'm going to shift my weight to my right side, bringing the side of my foot, right side of my foot onto the mat, and I'm going to bring this hand up in plank pose. Side plank and hold this for 3. Really lifting up here, lifting this off. 2 and 1. Back down, doing the same thing for the left, shifting the left side. Really opening my fingers to help me balance. Holding this for 3, 2, and 1. Back down into plank. Shifting forward, lower to the belly, untuck the toes, lifting up in cobra. Back down, cheek to mat. Untuck the toes, lifting up and back into downward dog. Really getting space between your shoulders and ears. Maybe attempt to have your heels touch the mat, or not. And then we're going to move into dolphin by going on my forearms. And now I'm in dolphin pose. Maybe having my forearms about shoulder width apart. Fingers spread out to help to balance that. Really feeling that in your shoulders, opening up. Maybe walking your feet into a deeper dolphin. And then walking back out, lifting back up into downward dog. Really feeling that in my arms. We'll do that one more time. Back down into dolphin. Bringing my feet up. And then shifting it back down. And then lifting back into downward dog. Pedaling that out. Maybe dropping to your knees. Shifting your butt back, sitting on your heels. And then walking your hands forward to just counter that pose. Even in powerful asana, it's okay to rest. And I'm just gonna walk my hands to the right, really stretching that left side of my body. 3, 2, and 1. Going back to center, and then walking to the right, left, stretching the right side for 3. 1 back. And so now I'm going to roll back up kind of into tabletops and then lift up into my plank. And I'm going to just go back down to my forearms, and now I'm in the forearm plank. Really engaging my core, just doing some side crunches. So twisting to the side for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Feel that. Drop back to my knees. Walk back into child's pose. Walking your fingers out further, deepening that stretch, bringing your face, forehead to the mat. And I'm going to go onto my belly and do some locust pose. Alright, so make sure I'm on my belly. Begin by having my hands, the front of my hands on the mat, top of my hand, palms up. And just lifting up my chest off the mat as I squeeze my thighs together, lift that up. And locust, really strengthening my back and all parts of my body for real. As trying to only keep my pelvis and my core on the mat for 3, 2, and 1. Lower one cheek on the mat. Again, powering up, maybe this time squeezing your thighs first, lifting your chest up, really pulling your arms back, trying to grab your feet or grab whatever's behind you for 3. Continue to breathe. 2, and 1, and lower. And then one last one, really getting that deep, lifting up that chest as much as possible. Lifting those legs off, doing that for 3, 2, and 1, lower. And then lifting and shifting, rolling on my back. As we begin to do some bridge poses, hips still about a block apart, having my feet a little bit about a middle finger's length away, pressing my fingers down, pressing my feet down, and lifting up my tailbone, lifting up my chest, allowing my chin to be parallel to the ceiling, and really holding this for 3, 2, and 1, and lower. And next one, we're going to try to put our shoulders underneath our back, so like a clasp. Really squeezing the shoulder blades together. So we're going to try it again. Pressing down our feet, our heels, pressing our hands down, lifting our pelvis up, lifting up our stomach, having the chin parallel, and then just shifting the shoulders underneath. Right, like if you're trying to squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then clasping my hands to help power off and deepen this for 3, 2, 1. Maybe this time keep squeezing and lifting up that right leg. Bring it back down, squeeze and lift up that left leg. And then lower. Alright, so now we are going to get into lifting up into boat pose. Alright, bringing my feet up and then bringing my chest to now we're going to get into boat pose. So bring my feet up in a 90 degree, keeping my hands down to help support me. And I lift up and hold this with my hands either by my side or behind me. And holding this for 3. Still keeping my back straight, still having my core engaged. 2, and 1, and lower. One more time, having my knees bent, and then bringing my chest using the support of my hands, right? If you have that core strength, by all means, just power off. If not, use that to help support you. Keeping the back straight, neck in line, and holding this for 3, 2, and 1. And last one, lifting up the legs and holding this for 3, 2, and 1. Lower. Third time to charm. And just begin to fall into Shavasana, fingers out. Naturally curling, feet spread. Dropping my shoulders down, really releasing any tension that I have in my face, any parts of my body. Just surrender. that make you feel, right? How do I feel when I'm smiling and straight? Understanding that we're not experiences that make us powerful in our own. I think let's continue these powerful asanas. Right? Get to bring life to your tongue. Maybe do a long body stretch. Safely and gently roll over to the right side or any side and get up into easy seat. Continue to have our back elongated, our spine engaged, neck aligned, and top of head. And just give yourself a hug, having your shoulders aligned, really having hand to one shoulder and right hand opposite shoulder. Just really squeezing and then maybe just lifting up. Breaking up our body. Lifting our shoulders up, down, just shaking that out. And then bringing palms together at heart center. The light in me sees the light in you. Thank you so much for joining me today.